What's up guys, welcome to another reaction video, and today we're going to be reacting to who's the fastest NFL player of all time. The suggestion was from someone called Craig Brill, and yeah, I appreciate the suggestions. Any others you want me to watch, comment down below. I've got quite a few to get through. There's been a lot of suggestions and I'm trying to work through them all, so if you suggested something and I've replied to your suggestion, just know it's going to come up soon. But yeah, I'm interested in this because I've seen compilations and videos of players in the NFL making runs and they're insanely fast. And you guys have been telling me, leaving comments saying some of these, some of the players in the NFL are literally Olympic level runners. They can run under 10 seconds. So I'm interested to see this. And yeah, this could be really cool to watch. And yeah, let's get into it.
Back in the day, there was an event at the Pro Bowl called the NFL's Fastest Man Competition. It was
Really?
a short race between four.
Again, stuff like this is just sick. If this happened in soccer, I always refer to soccer, but it is my sport that I know most about. If stuff like this happened in that sport, it would be so cool. I've noticed all these little things happen in the NFL and just American sports in general. I love it.
Selected players to try and decide who was the fastest player
This is
at the Pro
sick.
Bowl. This event had been going on for decades, and it was a fan favorite. Who doesn't love a good old-fashioned foot race?
This is crazy.
They're gonna have one heat, and may the best.
I don't know why I'm so intrigued by this thing in general. This is probably just normal to American fans, but to someone who's new to this seems extreme, but in a good way. I rate it.
Man, run fast.
It gives the fans a better perspective.
And they're off.
Oh, mad.
But after 2007, the NFL decided to give up this tradition. As
Oh.
far as why they decided to end it, I'm not entirely sure. Even though I know it could spice up the lackluster Pro Bowl that we witness every year, this summer, we're getting a bit of justice. An event
random.
will be held by a handful of players to try and help decide who the fastest player is. It's going to be a tournament-style setting, separated into 8 offensive and 8 defensive players.
That is sick.
This is exciting considering that Ted Ginn Jr. just offered a $10,000 bet to anyone who wanted to challenge him to a race. But even with this tournament happening soon, it only includes 16 players, which Tyreek Hill isn't one of them. And plus, there's been so many guys over the NFL's history that could take...
I'm assuming Tyreek, people have suggested him quite a lot. I think he's one of the fastest guys. Is there a reason he's not involved, or is it just random pick of the fastest players? Because again, people have been suggesting him a lot, so I would have thought he would be
league's
in.
fastest player. So I decided to look at the numbers of a few separate races to try and decide who is the fastest man the NFL has ever seen. But first, this video is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek takes tickets from all across the web and puts them into one area, making buying simple. They're rated on a scale from 1 to 100, so you know you're getting a good deal. Plus, if you haven't yet, use my promo code KTO for $20 off your first purchase. Shout out to SeatGeek for the sponsor. Now let's get back to the video. The 40-yard dash is a test of how quick you can accelerate to your top-end speed. John Ross has the current title for the fastest 40-yard combine at 4.22. But here's the thing, we have a handful of players who can challenge this.
Is this running thing that he's doing right now? Is this before an NFL game? Was this an NFL event? Because if that's an event that's connected to the NFL, that's so cool.
Number 1, Tyreek Hill is a freak. He ran a 4.26 in college. If he would have been invited to
mad.
the combine, he may have broken 4.22. Number 2,
It's supposed to be under 10
Brandon's a story
seconds.
of his own. The man kept Tootsie Rolls in his socks during games. Also, he ran a 4.5.
Wait, is that allowed? Are you allowed to put food in your clothing, or is that an old rule that's changed now? So that seems a bit suspect.
When he was 50, they called him the ageless wonder since
Do something
he still
cheeky
played
with
defensive
that.
back in the NFL into his 40s. As far as a legitimate
wow.
40 in his athletic prime, reportedly, Darrell Green recorded a time of 4.09 at the Redskins training camp in 1986. Now, that sounds far-fetched, and it may be. Green claimed himself that the fastest he ever ran was 4.15, but even that's questionable since we have no official proof. Number 4, Bo Jackson is, well, a remarkable story about possibly the greatest athlete of all time.
I agree.
The problem with that is how much storytelling and lore-like status that this has achieved him. According to reports, in ESPN 30 for 30, and Bo himself, he either ran a 4.13
This guy's nuts.
4.1.
Bro, he done baseball, he done the NFL, and he could have just been a sprinter too. Doing running at this sort of speed is literally like Olympic level. This guy's an absolute mad.
At his college pro day. This was also done in the fashion of him apparently being late for track practice, asking for the exit door to be open so when he finished the race, he wouldn't have to slow down so he could just keep on running at track practice. He didn't even know the time he had ran until after track practice that day. It was like it was straight out of a movie. The last 4 guys on this list have a claim to a 4.2 and even possibly a 4.140. Their play on the field suggests that they could be right, but we'll never know. The thing is, the 40 isn't necessarily the greatest test of speed.
Oh wow, he's
Due to
just
how short it
zooming
is,
away.
It demands a race format that is different than, let's say, a 100 meter. For one, it requires what sprinters call fast turnover. Elite level guys are turning their legs faster than anyone. The purpose of this is to build their acceleration and power to get as close to their
Oh,
top end
shit.
speed in as little steps.
Is that the NFL guy? The guy who's in, if that's him, then that's nuts. Or is it just showing an example of what? I'm guessing that is the NFL guy. Bloody hell, he's that far ahead of actual sprinters.
Sprinters in the world can only maintain their top end speed for 20 to 30 meters before they start to decelerate.
Wow.
So in the 40, you want to get to that speed as soon as possible. But not all guys are built like this. Julio is a burner in the open field once he gets rolling. But if you notice in this morph of Julio, Odell, and John Ross's 40s, you can see that when John Ross is fully up and sprinting, Julio is still driving his legs for maximum power. Some guys, due to their smaller stature, have the benefit of better acceleration. Not all athletes
Odell
build their
Beckham's
power
fast
like this.
himself.
Leonard Fournette.
I think I've seen this guy. Look at that, bro. Look at that. So that's what I mean. Power involved in speed is always just so satisfying to watch because you can just see this guy's got an abundance of power, and he's just using it to his advantage with his speed. See. Look at that, bro.
And this one may all the way.
He's
Fournette
just
without
gone.
chased by Davis.
Look, these guys are fast themselves. We just can't catch him. And he's gone, mate.
Leonard Fournette is the classic example of someone who proves that the 40 isn't the greatest test of pure speed. On this 90-yard touchdown during his rookie season,
Wait, do they not do 100 meters or 100 yards? I'm not sure how you measure it. 100-meter sprint, like the Olympic sprints. Do they do that? Because I thought that was the best way to measure someone's speed.
pulling away from Sean Davis, a guy with a faster 40 and 25 pounds lighter, Fournette hit a peak speed of just over 22 miles per hour. And just for context, that was the fastest speed clocked by any ball carrier that season. That's because through his power, he built up his speed for 20
He's
to 30
literally a
yards.
car, man.
This would equate to a much slower 40. Yet, in 100, this would be perfect. Fournette ran a 10.6 100-meter dash in high school, which, for his size, is absolutely terrifying.
Oh, wow.
But when we're talking about 100-meter, Leonard Fournette doesn't match up with the fastest ever. Here's a list of the fastest 100-meter times ever by NFL players. Now,
Under
making this
10
video, I
seconds, bro.
realized something.
Oh,
To most
mate.
of you, these numbers have no context. If you're not a track person or have ever paid attention to it, you would have no idea what these mean. So let me try and give you a visual. The average time for a senior in high school who ran 100 meter on varsity track was a 12.1. I was a state champion in the 100 and earned a scholarship to a low-level Division I university with a time of 10.68. Coincidentally, the same time as Leonard Fournette. The scary thing was he outweighed me by about 60 pounds. To make the US Olympic team in 2020, the minimum time you have to run is a 10.05. Only 8 Division I sprinters have reached that mark this year. At the
Wow.
2016 Olympics, here are the results of the 100-meter final. 6 out of the 8 sprinters broke 10 seconds, with Usain Bolt winning in a time of 9.81. This is the difference between Usain Bolt and a guy running 10.06. The crazy part is this was another 0.23 off of Usain Bolt's world record, which puts him more like here. So, now that we have some context, let's go back and look at the list of NFL players. Tyreek Hill is a much better 200-meter runner, but he still holds his own.
That's still
here.
mad. Look at those
Barely-
times. That Jim Hines, say he was, I know it's probably not, it's not like a case, it's not a possibility. But just say he was around nowadays, he could literally be playing in the NFL and running in the Olympics, coming what, 4th, 5th? That's
He
insane.
also makes another appearance, proving his overall speed was world class. And at the top, we have Jim Hines, who you may recognize from the video I made about him. He wasn't exactly the greatest football player in the world, but he was one heck of a sprinter. Bob Hayes had a time of 10.06 in 1964. This was ran in the Olympic final, which he took gold. And then I saw
Oh,
that this
what?
was ran on a
Wait, so he
cinder
won gold whilst being an NFL player?
track.
Wow.
While researching this video, I didn't even know what a cinder track was. So I looked into
But
it.
these are some
A cinder track
athletes.
is a type of racetrack, generally purposed for athletics or horse racing, whose surface is composed of cinders. Cinders? Oh, you mean this? This man ran a 10.06 on what looks like a dirt track. And then when I started
wow.
reading more into Bob Hayes, it made me realize I may have found the fastest player in NFL history. Let me explain. Bob Hayes described the track conditions as a badly chewed up cinder track in his autobiography. Compare this to modern Mondo tracks or even all condition tracks that they started using after the 64 games, and it's not even close.
That's true.
You would definitely run slower. And apparently, he was running in borrowed spikes because he had left one of his shoes under his bed back home and didn't realize until he got to the Olympics. If you consider
That just
all
shows
the
how the
factors,
world's changed
crappy
so much.
blocks, track conditions, the shoe situation, and modern training methods, who knows how fast this dude could have been.
Yeah.
Apparently, he never lost a 100-yard or 100-meter dash. He set the world record for the 100-yard dash and 60-yard dash in college.
That is
and due to his
nuts.
dominance at Florida A&M, he was selected to represent the United States at the 64 games. The president of the United States, Lyndon B. Johnson, had to call his college football coach asking to give Bob Hayes time off to recover for the games. Within a few days of him taking gold in the 100-meter, he anchored the U.S. Olympic 4x100-meter relay in a come-from-behind victory. Some
the
still
fuck?
recognize this as the fastest relay leg ever ran, being clocked in a hand time between 8.5 to 8.9 seconds.
Oh, look at
Not
that.
bad for a guy running in borrowed shoes. Also, this happened to be his final race ever, deciding at the ripe age of 21 to focus on playing football.
What? This is nuts. This is so interesting. I'm actually like, I've never watched anything like this. I've like never like read into anything like this. This is crazy.
He was drafted in the first round in 1964 by the Dallas Cowboys. At the time, this was considered a risk due to his unrefined skill set as a wide receiver. In his first 2 seasons, he would lead the league in receiving touchdowns. In one game specifically, he caught 9 passes for 246 yards, setting a Cowboys franchise record that would last for decades. He was so fast, players just simply couldn't keep up with him, and many people credit him for the creation of zone defense. Bob Hayes literally changed the game.
He's gone, mate. Yeah, this guy always makes really sick videos. I'll tell you what. Like his videos and that I forgot the other guy's name, but there's 2 guys who make really good videos. And yeah, like I appreciate the suggestions. This was crazy. This was actually nuts. And it's interesting how some of these are literally just Olympic sprinters. I wouldn't really have expected that. I'm just guessing. I'm learning new stuff whilst I'm reacting, which is cool. So I'm liking it. I'm liking learning and knowing more about the sport. But yeah, cheers for the suggestion. Any others you want to do, comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.